Welcome, my name is Samuel James Price, and every single Friday, I want to go over the big picture and kind of see where we're at on the weekly time frame, maybe even dabble into the monthly, and just take a look. So we know we have a big resistance at the top at 68,000. We know we had a secondary top there at about 60,070. We had these two little shoulder areas there at about 50,980. Rejection at 46K when we dropped. And you can clearly see previous resistance became new support at this strong line at 36,086 cents. And we come down to this region right here. And then we kind of see that we have this little bit of a chop area that we came into contact with. So we can put a line right there. So these are our next big resistance areas. And our big support is 25,200 now that we broke above it. Could we end up further down? You know, could some say this is a rising wedge? It breaks down. And does the rising wedge break all the way back to the downside? Could the weekly turn us? And could we end up making a double bottom at 16,000? That's possible. All right, so that's possible. What would really stop that from happening? Well, if this rising wedge kind of went like this and then broke out the length of the base to the upside and had a pretty massive move to the upside, it would look something like this. We would break through this, break through that, and get into this next area of liquidity. There's a high volume node right there at 38,000, which also is a coincidentally set in that region, which would like to grab liquidity to that area. Everyone's looking if Bitcoin's going to move. I've been looking at the 3-day chart and the 200 SMA, and it's just very likely we pump up to this area, breaking this high, starting that as a possible support at 32,000, 31,700 area. Let's get back into the weekly and continue. So, strongest weekly close in a long time last week. See what happens with this weekly close. Right now we're in indecision. I will do a weekly candle close every single Sunday night at 8 p.m. When the candle closes, you will catch me live. Right now we're at 26,621, and we can see the weekly kind of an indecision. Wicks about the same length on either side. The weekly does have support at 25, or it can break back above this. So I'm showing you my ideas and what I'm seeing. So, yeah. So Bitcoin on the weekly. And again, we call this previous support becomes resistance. Usually you'd come back down for some resistance, for a bounce on support. One thing that I'm looking at, though, I'm going to get rid of this rising wedge for a second because I keep reiterating this idea, is this diagonal support and resistance line that's been following. You can see we bounce off of it, and then we got rejected twice off of it, and then we bounced away from it on a wick. I'm looking for this to create an ascending triangle on the weekly even and break to the upside with a measured move. So... And the measured move would take us, you know, basically the length of this. Then we could also kind of take the length of this pole of the ascending triangle. And we would move it somewhere to here. Both of these are telling me that we can get to 35,000. So I'm not guaranteeing anything. And once we get up to here, we may see some resistance at 31,670. And also when the 3-day hits the 200 SMA, we should see some resistance somewhere in the $32,000 region. That's what I see for Bitcoin on the bigger time frames. So for us to be bearish, we'd have to break this trend line here, bounce, resistance, and we'd have to fall back into it. And then we'd be back in the rising wedge, and then this rising wedge could break to the downside. So unless we break this zone, I am not going to call bearish. Another thing about the weekly is we broke back above the 200 SMA. Usually we never go below it. We touch it, we go just below it there. But once you get back above the 200 SMA, usually it's the end of the bearish times. It's the end of the lowest of the lows. As long as this weekly candles keep staying above the 200 SMA, we're in good shape. As long as the 4-hour candle stays above this yellow line, we're in good shape. As long as the daily stays above this yellow line, which we bounced beautifully right off, we're in really good shape. This is a very bullish sign. You see the 21 crossing the 50? That's a bullish sign that the daily could continue to the upside. I'm watching the 22-hour and the 12-hour. Those time frames, I'm able to see a really nice little flag here and a nice little move. So these are the smaller time frames that I'm looking at for a bigger move from the bigger ones. Let's jump into the dollar index. We clearly have giant resistance here at about 120, another at 113. And here's the area that we've been looking at. This will take you all the way from 1968 even. This is the dollar. 1 month candles in the dollar for the last, 40-odd years to 60-odd years, really. From the late 60s, 50 years, right? From the late 60s to the 20s now. So previous resistance, new support. We have hit a large support zone. Does the dollar begin to move again? This is interesting. Now, the monthly was low here, and then it came up and then continued to dump. It might have come up and continued to dump. I see on the daily time frame, all right, we are oversold, and we did bounce, but I am seeing, look, kind of a shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder there that could break you further down to about 92. So where do I see us going in the next week? Well, this is kind of a shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. This has cup and handle vibes that could break us on out. Clearly, you can see that this is the previous resistance, so we're using it as support. We lose this area, we will drop fast. 4-hour wants to take us down, so it would be nice to see the 4-hour get rejected here, break down, and make a lower low. We definitely have to make a low lower than this low here and break to the downside. If I extend this, it says that we're going to continue right down to here to 98. So that would be what I would like to see. Let's look at our monthly chart even for the dollar index. And the monthly chart is low, telling me that it could bounce from here at a resistance. So it's interesting. It's got kind of ascending cup and handle vibes, touching the 21-day moving average too after it was so far away from it. That's usually how you retrace. When you have a space between price action and the 21 on a big time frame, you're going to come back into this zone. That's somewhat bullish for me personally. But look at the 3-month. 3 months says you're going to take a massive dump to the downside. Let's look at Bitcoin's 3 months. You're going to take a massive move to the upside, and you have a bullish engulfing candle on the 3 month. Let me get rid of everything. So not many people were watching the 3 month, but look how bullish that 3 month candle is. We're back above the 200 SMA. It's a really good sign. And if you look at the dollar index on the 3 month, yikes. So it says somewhere, it's not 3 months, but it is telling you August, September, looks like the dollar could struggle here. It is a symmetrical triangle that it could go up and down in here. And then the move to the downside would be the base of the triangle. And they're 50-50 patterns, but I see them break down more than they break up. And that could bring you to the dollar index to 57. Pretty ugly status there. So, and that would be very, very helpful for Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Could the weekly pump all the way up to the 200 SMA? I believe it may. And that may see a massive move for Bitcoin. This would corroborate the story that Bitcoin's going to rip. Resistance, resistance, resistance. We have to get back above this. If we don't, we could pull back. Worst case scenario for the alts is that this pulls back and Bitcoin pulls back. Then you're going to see the alts bleed like you wouldn't believe. So, and that can happen. So always be ready for that possibility. So right now we're watching this resistance moment, and we could go further down. I'd like to see the weekly pump up to here. A lot of times I'm seeing tight moving averages pump all the way to the 200 SMA. This could falter a little bit and fall down as we come up, but still, this is going to be our general area. If that happens, that's going to be a big move for Bitcoin yet again. I believe that's the most likely scenario from what I'm looking at, but anything is possible. And that's kind of your big weekly outlook for Bitcoin dominance, the DXY, and Bitcoin. No, I do a live stream every single day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. I'd love for you to join me on that and look at what I'm looking at and just enjoy the chat, be a part of the group, and be a part of my community. I have a Discord. I also teach class and do so many other things. Look at my links. Get involved. Become a crypto lifer today. My name is Samuel Price. Thank you so much for being here. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video.